And good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Kelly, and I am here in my kitchen, and I want to bring something special to you today. I hope you all enjoyed the video that I made for you yesterday. I thought it was pretty funny and kind of fun. I just pulled together ingredients that I have in my house to make the famous pumpkin spice latte. And I wanted to show you that it's super easy to do. And I want you to start doing some of these things at home for a couple of different reasons. One, people spend way too much money buying a coffee or a latte every single day. So personally, and maybe this isn't you, maybe that's just a special treat. I don't like to drink black coffee. I don't like to drink straight coffee. I can do lattes and cappuccinos where I've got some espresso and I've got steamed milk and a little bit of flavoring. That tastes good to me. That's comforting, that's relaxing, and I really enjoy that. I don't need it for the caffeine. Maybe you need it for the caffeine, and that's okay. There's a couple of tips, a couple of things that I want to share with you that I've learned that I do, and I'm going to show you some things out of my kitchen so that you can start to change some of the habits that you have. Because the first question is coffee bad for you? Actually, no, it's not bad for you. And there are times though when you purchase it, there's a ton of sugar in it. And what if it's not organic? That's when it's really not good for you. So I have two examples here for you today. Two examples of whole coffee beans that I have in my house right now. And the one thing that I want you to notice about both of them is that they're organic. Hi, Carol. Good morning. The thing about coffee is that it is a dilator. It drives things into the cells. So it helps you to absorb and use nutrients or get them into the cell even better. But if you're drinking coffee that's not organic, you're pushing in pesticides and toxins. So please, please, please choose organic. Even if you're just making regular coffee at home, start to choose organic, okay? And that will definitely benefit you. Now, having a whole cup of coffee, or excuse me, a whole pot of coffee, or maybe 2 pots of coffee, that's going to put you in the unhealthy category. So you're pushing it to the limit. Everything should be done in moderation, okay? You can have coffee, but you shouldn't have it excessively. So the other bad thing that everybody does with coffee is they put a ton of dairy in. Dairy is super inflammatory. And then even when I started first drinking cappuccinos and lattes, when you get it flavored, what do they use? Sugar. Sugar, 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 those syrups that they pump and they give you 3, 4, 5, I don't know how many pumps to give you that flavor. Blah. I used to like that, but I am so far away from that, I can't stand it anymore, actually. So I use some different sweeteners, and that's what I want to share with you today. So here I am. It's Monday morning. This is my favorite mug. I've got some coffee in here, actually a hazelnut latte. So this is my routine. I did make some pumpkin spice lattes, but maybe you don't like pumpkin, or maybe you don't want that every day. That's a treat, and actually it's pretty sweet. And like I just said before, I like to do a little less sweet. So again, I'm going to share some tips with you. If you appreciate it, give me a thumbs up, because then I know you want to hear more things like this. Please be sure to share it. Share my video with the recipe of the pumpkin spice latte too, please. That's awesome. Okay, so a couple of things that I do when I make my routine coffee in the morning is, and for my husband too, I add one of these. Anybody know what one of these are? And why would I add it? Well, it's actually just some cacao butter. Okay, so what is cacao? I didn't say cocoa. Cocoa is an American word where we changed cacao, and cacao is chocolate. Now, it doesn't make my coffee taste real chocolatey, but it does give it a buttery, creamy type of consistency. And the other great benefit that it gives is a lot of omega fats. Right? So everybody's eating fish or taking fish oil to get omega-3 fatty acids, right? Well, this has a ton of omega-3, some omega-6, and also a lot of omega-9s, and a lot of people don't get that. So it gives you a ton of good fat, and chocolate or real cacao is actually very beneficial for you. Okay, so I add one of those, and good morning, Carol, into my coffee. The next thing that I put in the bottom of my mug is some MCT oil. MCT stands for medium chain triglycerides. Again, healthy fats. So all of you who grew up in the 80s and fats were banned because you thought they were bad and you were told they were bad, there are many different types of fats. And there are definitely bad fats, but medium chain triglycerides, good fats. You know what they do? They feed your brain and they feed your mitochondria, your cells. And guess what that does? It gives you energy. Okay, so here are two great forms that I use. It comes from a coconut, but MCT oil. Good morning, Shelly. And then the next thing that I usually add into the routine coffee in my house is some stevia. Now, all of you may not like stevia, and that's okay, but this is a great source of stevia. I have a French vanilla and a hazelnut, and I'm making a hazelnut. Well, I made a hazelnut latte for myself earlier this morning, and I wanted to share some of that before we go into the pumpkin spice latte. So instead of using those syrups that they do in the coffee shops, I use a couple of drops of each of these of stevia. Now, then I steam milk, and I use a variety of different milks as well. So I rotate through different milks. I try not to use the same one every single day. For the pumpkin spice latte, I'm going to show you it with coconut milk. But in my morning routine, I'll use some hazelnut, again, because, hey, Christian, I'm making hazelnut latte, right? And then I really do like this Ripple, which is a pea protein base. I'll also use hemp milk. I'll tell you that I never, ever, ever, ever use soy, ever, okay? So it's not a good alternative. If you like almond milk, if you like macadamia nut, whatever kind of milk alternative, go ahead and use it and play with it because they taste different in your coffee. And then I add a tiny little bit of this coconut creamer, again, because I like my latte creamy and smooth and warm and comforting. If I use too much of this, and really I pour just a little bit of the vanilla and a little bit of the hazelnut because otherwise it's way too sweet for me. So I used to be a person who would use those syrups all the time. We are so far away from that. We use a little bit of stevia. We use a little bit of a coconut creamer. Again, it adds and brings out flavor. Okay. So those are my tips of our morning routine here in my kitchen of how we make our lattes, and I'm going to take a drink. Okay, we're going to change camera views here so that I can show you everything that goes into your pumpkin spice latte. So I hope you loved the little animated video that I made for you. I thought it was pretty fun to do. I found some great pictures for you, and I thought that was pretty cool. But here are your main ingredients, and I listed those in the recipe as well. Again, I printed out what the recipe calls for and about how much, but you can change it, modify it. Maybe you like more pumpkin, put more pumpkin in. What I did this morning when I made one of these for my husband is that I put more espresso in than it calls for. So we have a little espresso machine here, and that's how we pull our shots. And we typically use a double shot. So a double shot is going to actually give me about a cup of the espresso, a half. So we like, personally, a little bit more. My point is, do it how you like. Play with it. Maybe you need a little bit more sweetener. Maybe you like a different base of your milk. Maybe you want to add some honey into it because you like that a little bit sweeter as well. And this gives you something really good and healthy for you as well. Okay, so that's an option. It all depends on your taste, okay? So don't feel bad if you modify it. I'm giving you a base of a healthy alternative recipe versus going to one of the coffee shops where you're going to get pumps and pumps and pumps of sugar, okay? So what does our recipe call for? First, let me grab my Vitamix container here because we're going to put it all in. I was going to have this poured out. I forgot. I need 1 cup of my coconut milk, but I'm going to pour in my espresso here first. And then I need a cup of coconut milk. So we'll get that in. Okay, and I'm going to get this dirty cup out of the way. What comes next? Tablespoon of pumpkin. There we go. And this is again an organic pumpkin just in the can. It's already opened because we've been making these already. And I need 1 tablespoon, and I'm going to use a heaping tablespoon. If you like pumpkin flavor, be generous with it. Don't be stingy on yourself. Okay, so we've got that. Next will be 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So I have a Simply Organic Madagascar vanilla, and we need 2 teaspoons of that. There we go. And then this is my pumpkin pie spice. So I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of that. And boy, does that smell like pumpkin. I already added in the espresso. That was the next ingredient. Let me turn these here so you can see them. And then here is, I'm just adding a little caramel. And this is my specific thing that I like to do. You don't have to do this. Maybe you find a pumpkin stevia. Maybe you take a regular stevia that doesn't have any other flavor, but just to add a little bit of sweet. And add as many drops as you want. Okay, if you add too many drops, it might get a little bitter with stevia, but again, all depends on your taste buds, what you like. And that's it, guys. That's all we needed. Here we are. I'm going to flip back over to the other camera because now we need to blend it up. So let's come over to my Vitamix. And excuse the noise, it's going to get loud here for a second. All we need to do is blend it up for a little bit. It's going to get all creamy and smooth. Voila! And there you have your pumpkin spice latte already. If you do not have a frother like I do, you're going to want to pour what you just blended up. Here, take a look at that, the foam on the top there as well. Okay, you're going to pour it into your pan, and you're just going to put it on the stove until it's hot. Okay, so that's one option. The other thing, since I use my espresso machine a lot, and let me tell you this too. You're probably thinking, well, I don't have an espresso machine. We got one probably about 7 or 8 years ago, and we paid $100, if that, at Kohl's, I want to say. So we probably used a coupon. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Becky and Dennis and Lisa and Kathleen and Heather, and good morning, Penny. So they're not that expensive. If you think about how much you pay, either $5, $6, $7 to buy your latte, and you do that 5 days a week, you pay for a cheap espresso machine in a month. So it's not an expense. We used it as a Christmas gift for ourselves, and then we used it more and more and more, and we decided to get a better one, a little bit more expensive, but we love it. It grinds our beans for us, so they're always fresh, and it tastes great, and it works great. So I got off on that because here is my little container that I can pour this into, and then I have a steaming frothing wand on my espresso machine. And that's what I would use to heat it up and get it all frothy. Now that's a little bit noisy, so I'm not going to do that for you right now this morning, but I hope that was helpful because I want you to cut the sugar. There is so much diabetes. There is so much disease in the world today, and you do it to yourselves because you eat sugar, 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 okay? And you can still have something that tastes good, that's comforting, that's warm, that's good for you. I showed you good ingredients that I put in my morning latte, as well as the pumpkin spice latte that I just went through with you. There is nothing bad in that. Now, all of the milk alternatives, they're not necessarily perfect. Good morning, Riley. They're not perfect, meaning, they do have to process it to make it into a milk. So, if you can make your own hemp milk, do it. If you want to make your own coconut milk or almond milk, do it because it'll eliminate that process step, and that's way better for you. But I'm trying to give you tips and tricks to be healthier, so that you can be healthier. I want you eating better, and I want it to taste good. So I hope you learned from that. Let's see. Heather says, is coffee good or bad for somebody with hypothyroid? It's fine, Heather. It's fine. Like I said in the beginning, everybody asks, is coffee healthy for you or not? So the key thing that I said is that it better be organic. The other thing I didn't point out about this one, which this is the first bag that I've ever used of it, but I've read a lot about the coffee beans that are considered lower acid. So this one, pure roast coffee, which is from, I don't know where, Venezuela. It is 70% less acidic, okay? And having less acid is better. It's less bitter. And so it's supposed to be a smoother. So I'm really liking it so far. We just started trying this, but it's good. The key thing is get organic. If you are not doing organic coffee, whether you're doing whole beans or having it ground for you, I'm going to tell you it's not good for you. It's driving bad things into your body and keeping it where you don't want it to be. So it doesn't matter what health condition you have or not. A cup of coffee a day is fine. Maybe even 2 is fine. Remember what we talked about for sleep? Don't have coffee or caffeine after early afternoon because then you're going to impact your sleep. But, having a pot of coffee is excessive and you need to cut back on that. You're giving yourself no nutritional value when you just have regular coffee. What did I do? I added nutrition to my latte. So I'm telling you how much sugar, and yes, they are overly sweet and maybe you love them, but once you get away from those sweet things, you can barely tolerate it anymore in the coffee shop. I don't like them. So that's why we make it regularly at home. So we get away from the sugar. And then we're choosing organic ingredients, and I've added nutrition. I've put in cacao butter. I've put in MCT oil, right? And then, even the spices and things. What I didn't show you on the pumpkin spice latte, how could I forget this, was that here is the cocoa whip. This is in the frozen section, okay? Let me take the cover off. It's probably starting to get a little melty. Actually, Tim eats this all the time. He loves it, so it's almost gone. But you take a spoon of that, drop it into your coffee, and then with the pumpkin spice, let's add some cinnamon. Unless you're allergic to cinnamon, it's fantastic for you. Your body needs it to regulate blood sugars. It helps your body by eating some of those spices, okay? The other thing that I have behind me that I don't have ready to go, but this is another way to do whipped cream, and we'll do this sometimes too. So this is an organic coconut milk in the can, which is very, very, very thick. In fact, it separates. Usually when you open the can, it's like half some oily stuff and a half clump, and you got to mix that up. But you can put it into one of these pressurized whatchamadingies. Can't remember what I should call this, but then you can, and make some nice cream out of coconut milk for on top of your lattes as well. So this is just faster and easier, but if you don't want to do this, so we have both. We've loved this. It does take a little bit of work. I've had to look at some YouTube videos multiple times to figure out how to use it and to make my whipped cream come out and not be runny. But then once you figure it out, it's fantastic. Okay, so I have talked enough already today. I saw Heather's question. Penny, what did you say? I've been putting a pinch of baking soda in my organic coffee grounds for less acid. Okay, interesting. The other thing, I've given you this tip before as well, but as I take out my my shot, okay, I'm going to come over to the sink so I can pound it on something hard. But what you can maybe see is the little discs that come out of my espresso thing. So I put these into a container and I let them dry. It's just coffee grounds, right? All summer long. How many mosquitoes did you have? Because I didn't have any in our backyard, and we have a lot of woods. What I do is let those dry, and then I smush them up into the powder, and I would shake them all around our pool area on the edge of the woods, and it really helps to keep the ticks in where they need to stay, and the mosquitoes away as well. And now that it's wintertime and I don't really need to do that, it goes in my compost bin. So I add some brown into my compost to make that well balanced too. So good suggestion there, Penny. That's awesome. Lisa, what do you say? Will you please put a link to your coffee in the comments? Lisa, do you mean these? Like the examples of coffee beans? If that's what you mean, I don't necessarily have a link, but I definitely can list what they are. So that was Pure Roast. This is another one called 454 horsepower. Okay, so that one's really nice too. I'll put those examples down. The other most common brand that we use is Cameron's, and you can get that at the grocery stores. These two I ordered, I want to say off of VitaCost, or I don't think Amazon, but I think it was VitaCost that I found these other coffees. So you can find them easy. It's easy to get to your door. The Camerons, they do have organic and they have non-organic. What are you going to choose? You're going to choose the organic because that's what's good for you. Okay, that's a better choice. If you like coffee, if you want to have a latte or a cappuccino, and there are hundreds of different flavors and recipes, I've just figured out what we like the best, and we've modified over the years. We've changed a lot. I'm just scrolling through to see if anybody else had any other questions. So I appreciate the thumbs up. Again, share that other animated video because I really kind of worked hard on it and I stayed up later than I should so I could finish it and get it uploaded. And just because I thought it was so fun. Once I saw that I could do that, and my husband had gotten the program for his work, I said, ooh, pumpkin spice. Actually, what triggered me to think of doing the pumpkin spice latte for you guys today is because I was running through the grocery store yesterday and I saw pumpkin spice Cheerios. Blech. Pumpkin spice, everything is out there now, right? So whenever there's a fad or something that, takes off, they put it in everything. For heaven's sakes, pumpkin spice Cheerios. All right, so I thought, ooh, pumpkin spice latte. Let me make a little video about that. And then I decided I would make the animated video, so share, share, share. And then today I thought I'd share to show you just how easy it is. And again, it's okay if you don't have an espresso machine, but I love having an espresso machine and it has saved us a lot of money. So think about it. Start with a cheap one. Our first one worked great. It's down in the basement right now because I don't want to get rid of it. Maybe I'll sell it to one of you. I don't know, but we keep it around because it's not that it was broken and it didn't work good. We just were demanding more of it and we needed a little bit heavier duty one. So I really appreciate you guys following me and being here. And if you got something out of what I shared today, let me know. If there's something you want me to talk about, let me know. I get some lists going and then, decide what I'm going to talk about. Like we've got Wednesday at 8:30 coming up. So that's only 2 days away. I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet. Good morning, Randy. But I'd love for you to be here with me. So I'll talk to you again soon and thanks for joining.